I'm Ricky Courier. I'm a resident application engineer. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina with my wife, dog, and 2 cats. I received the call that I was a match about 2 years after joining the registry, and I'd graduated college by then and started my first job. So I decided to go forward with it because I thought if I had the opportunity to save someone's life and I didn't take that opportunity, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I wasn't raised that way, and I knew if the tables were turned, I would hope that someone would do the same for me. My wife has said how she's really proud of me for doing this. I tell her every time that it's something that I needed to do, I should have done. I just feel like I'm some random guy off the street that, donated, helped out. So at the time of donation, I knew nothing, just age and leukemia, that's all I knew.
Hello, hello to Sky. Hello, hello to you.
So Sky was a very normal baby. She was about 4 months old. We took her to the doctor for her 4-month checkup, and she had these little spots on her body. We got the blood results, and our doctor said, "We want you to go see an oncologist, a pediatric oncologist." And we both kind of said, oncology?
You said, pause. Wait a minute, isn't that cancer?
Oncology means cancer. So then eventually they did a bone marrow biopsy, and it came back as JMML, which is juvenile myelomonocytic leukemia.
And we got that diagnosis 4 days before her first birthday.
So then so then we kind of said, okay, what now? And they said, well, you need to get a bone marrow transplant. There were problems because she kept getting sick, and they can't take you to transplant until you're healthy-ish, as healthy as you can be as somebody with leukemia. And at one point, much later on, after we had left the hospital, a doctor had told us, we weren't sure if Sky was even going to make it to transplant. And so she did her conditioning, and she got her first transplant from a different donor, Hayden. I think it was after about 45, 50 days. She still hadn't hit where she should have been, and so they did the same test again, and it came back as 30% donor cells, 70% Sky. And so we said, and in that, there were the cancer cells. And so they said, okay, she's losing the graft, and we think the spleen is the culprit. So they decided to do a splenectomy, but they also found cancer. So they said, well, we found cancer in the spleen, which means that it's probably in the body. We did have somebody say, we can talk about palliative care and going home. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, just to make her as comfortable as possible, which those words are, you're dying.
Knife. They're a straight knife to your heart.
Yeah, and I remember being absolutely devastated, and I said, we both were, and we just thought, is this happening? Is this really coming to an end? We've been here for so long, she's fought so hard, she still has so much more. She's not ready to go. And then we said, we wanted to hear from our doctor, and he came and he said, she has about a 10% chance of survival because we have to do minimum 4 rounds of chemotherapy, another conditioning treatment. She's going to need a new transplant from a different donor, and she's not going to get bone marrow. She's going to get peripheral stem cells, which are way more aggressive. That's what we give the adults. We don't even know if this is going to work and if she's going to survive all of this. What do you want to do? And we just looked at each other and we said, well, if Sky wants to keep fighting, we want to keep fighting. And so we started chemotherapy probably, I think, that night. And she just,
she rocked it.
This kid she amazes me with her resilience. She got her final transplant from Ricky. Within a couple of days, her numbers started just shooting up, and it was just so fast. And she, the effect that it had on her, you could see she was she was starting to feel better.
Color was returning.
Her color was coming back. She was moving around, and we had gotten so used to her just kind of being this frail, limp little being that, it was a glimpse of, this is our baby again, like she's coming back to us.
The day we walked out was day 299.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had said, you'll be here for 80 to 100 days, and we were there for 299 199 days.
The doctor said, "Are
In
you?"
a room, you did not leave.
Yeah, we were there with her the whole time, and I remember the doctor saying, "Are you sure you don't want to stay for an even 300?" And
No!
we want to get out of here. We wound up getting to leave the hospital on May 11th, 2017, and I remember we had a little walking out all the way, and she had this little walker, and we got her a shirt that said she believed she could, so she did, and she walked the whole way out.